Hi guys, welcome back to Yaad Finance. Let's talk about Jamaica and this COVID issue, tie in with Amber Alert. So for those of you who have been following it, TechCrunch I think released an article. I think it was either authored by a security specialist. I forgot his name. I think it's Zach White or something like that. I'm sorry, should have done my preparations. I had the notes, but I'm winging it this year, right? So I think his name is Zach something, right? But I know that the articles were released by TechCrunch and the Gleaner got on it. Jamaica media could ignore it, so they got in on it as well and all of that stuff. So yeah, right. So this whole jam COVID thing, and it exposed a lot. It exposed, and I think this whole COVID situation is also exposing our government. It's exposing that we don't have leaders, and Jamaica doesn't have leaders. We have reactionaries. We have people who want proactive about leadership. They follow. They just. It's like they're just winging it, like I'm winging this podcast. And it's not good to wing a country. You have to plan everything within your country. You have to plan how you expect the economy to go, even if you're not directly involved in every business and lobbying with every business. You have to at least plan to ensure that you have to plan your life. Everybody know that for you to have a successful day, in some sense, you have to plan it out a little bit. You have to at least have a rough idea where you're trying to go and act within within the realms of that, freedom, whatever you get. So, COVID is exposing that our government has no plan. We are just winging it and going along. And this jam COVID issue also proves to us that our government really has no clue. It's just out here winging it. Oh, COVID, we need a database to collect data in order to know who has COVID, where they're coming from. Because data is necessary in order to really fight against COVID in a sense. That's what countries like South Korea did, and China, contact tracing, figuring out all the specific details in order to correctly fight this pandemic. But yeah, so John COVID thing happened, and two things I want to talk about, probably more. Again, I'm winging it, so bear with me. All right, the first thing is that ears make ways, and that's such a good parable, it's such a good parable saying, ears make ways, and that's true. See, whenever you're rushing to do something, there's normally you become so tunnel vision where so you can't really see the things exactly to your sides. You can't really see much behind you. You're only looking straight ahead on your specific target or goal. And that shit is dangerous because we live in a society where there's multiple variables. Getting to your goal is just part of the problem. You have to also ensure that when you reach your goal, you can sustain your goal, you can keep it intact, you can make sure you can maintain it. Because a lot of people don't normally take proper stocks of all the possible variables that goes into achieving their goals or accomplishing a particular task. If they do manage to accomplish it, most while it doesn't bring them the happiness that they thought it would bring them. It doesn't fulfill them because there was a lot of things that they didn't take into account. One of the main things that was not taken into account when this jam COVID thing was being built was security. And the reason why security was not taken into account was that there was multiple security issues with this website/app. Right? First, it was that there was no passwords, so the site was just basically open to anyone to access it. Then there was a next security issue where there was a file that was accessible that had all the security clearances. So you have the past security codes, and then I think there was a third issue which I'm not clear exactly what it was again. I forget. But there was an next third issue, and I think up there's just the point is that this site was not built with security in mind. And I think one of the reasons why that was the case was that ears make ways. I think the government / this Amber group wanted to just have something functional so that they could jump into tourism, because I think one of the reasons why this was even built was really for tourism purposes. It wasn't even really for local Jamaicans. I think local Jamaicans was an afterthought. I think they just wanted to present a capable, strong front to the rest of the world, so that it sees like, listen, it's okay to come here for your tours, because as a tourist, and it's okay to come in. So they just wanted to rush this to get it done, to show to the world that, look, Jamaica is capable. And what happens is that security becomes secondary. Security was not a primary focus. But that is where people don't understand. As someone who went to school to do computer science, and I'm basically in the tech field. In the 21st century, security is primary. Even if it's not your main goal, security is primary, especially in a application like the Jamcovid, where data is the Jamcovid website / app is basically a data mining. It's gathering data in order to make sense. You're gathering more data in order to extract it into information, workable information that they can use to organize, the country of Jamaica, in order to organize policies in pertaining to COVID and all of that. So in other words, because you're dealing with data, security is primary. But we didn't see security as a primary reason. We just needed to get this thing done in order to show competence. And this is one of the things about leadership, where it seems like our leaders are more concerned about looking the part than actually being fit for the part. And this is not just really a thing against Andrew Warnes and the GLP. And this is why I'm saying leaders, and I'm speaking generally, because this is a Jamaican issue, and not just Jamaican issue. I think realize that this is an issue in a lot of democracies, right? And probably this is just one of the side effects of having the freedom to choose their leaders, is that sometimes we choose a lot of incompetent people, because we, the people that are choosing, don't even have a collective idea of what we want. We just like Andrew put on his clocks and he was getting so many forwards. People were like, yo, am I a prime minister? They come in with the dubs and, yo, Bachon. And it was like a fun thing. Nobody really cared about policies. And that is probably one of the reasons why our education is so hard. Like, people don't want to, most democracies don't really invest heavily in education. You realize after high school, primary is probably only free. After high school, you have to pay for your six, you have to pay for your CAPE, you have to pay for college. Now it makes sense, because only an uneducated country will set of citizens will allow this type of nonsense to go on. And it's not even about the school qualification education. It's that even after school, and this is the problem too, even after school, even after some of us go to college and done, because it's not like it was just ghetto people or John Joe Clarks and I give forward, because there's a culture in Jamaica that really needs to change. And not just Jamaica, again, other democracies as well, where we don't really realize that because we are a democracies, we are responsible for our leaders and the choices they make. A lot of us like to absolve ourselves. I know my fault, or the leader fault. And then the leaders are like, no, it's the opposition. And I'm starting to think that democracy is really one of those systems where nobody's held accountable, because there's always someone else to blame. Oh, it's not my fault. Or maybe if you know, say him not one good leader, I just vote for him, because when that doesn't make sense, then the prime minister, I know my fault. The opposition leader left the country in debt. The infrastructure was done, and then the freedom say can't blame them predecessor, and you can't blame the predecessor. Everybody have put the blame game back down to the independence of Jamaica. Listen, as I said earlier, this Jamcovid thing really exposed the fact that Jamaica is not prepared. Jamaica was not, our politicians don't have a plan. And this is something, and also to the citizens of Jamaica. Sometimes a lot of us are hypocrites too. We like to blame the government for everything, but we don't like to take control and ownership of our life. And at the end of the day, every man has to be responsible for his actions, his life. That's something that a lot of us aren't willing to do. Right? But you have to be held responsible for the choices you make. And a lot of us I still see people without masks. People are still going to party. I know that our health system is basically overburdened and can't basically handle no more cases of COVID. People are running out of oxygen. Doctors are calling for the shutdown of the country. We are complaining curfew, 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 curfew now work. And people don't still don't understand that we don't expect COVID to disappear because of COVID curfew. Curfew is used as used to limit the transition, I don't even know if that's the right word, the transmission of how fast this virus is being transmitted from people to people. That's the whole point of curfew. It's not because we think a curfew, if 8 o'clock is curfew, COVID disappear after 8. That's not the case. I know most of you really believe that's the case, but that's not the case. And on the other side, this is where the government come in. Curfew, you have to realize that there's so many more issues than COVID at the forefront of Jamaicans' mind. Like, sure, the curfew might work for a while, but a lot of Jamaicans are living paycheck to paycheck. They have to go out and hustle in that informal economy, right? And because Jamaica don't have a proper safety net, social security, and all of those things, a lot of people are suffering. Like, it's almost a sin to be poor in Jamaica, because imagine right now, school has been locked down for so long out of necessity, right? But imagine poor people without access to the internet. Their kids are losing, like, since last year, almost a year out of schooling right now. They're being left behind. Now they're gonna have to spend, probably kids are gonna have to repeat, and that's more money to send have a kid repeat. Right? So this shit it's really embarrassing and sad for poor people. But this is one of the reasons, again, this is also leads me to my next point, where we have been promoting hyper individualism. Yo, me, myself, and I, love me, make me live my life. Yo, every man for themselves. This has been our motto and our ideology a lot of time in Jamaica, and I realize it in also a lot of Western countries. It's, yo, every man, low people make them own a decision. Allow me and my life. But all of a sudden now we want to be collective. Oh, please, people, we have to work together to get rid of COVID. You can't expect people to be living one way for most of their life and quickly make a 180. That's not gonna work. That's not how the world works. You guys have been promoting individual. You notice most of Asia has this thing under control. It's because in their culture, collectivism is the way of life. South Korea, Japan, Singapore, China, New Zealand, these countries have a more socialist, more collective worldview, where they realize that, listen, if my neighbor is doing bad, there's a high chance that I might start doing bad. In Jamaica, if my neighbor is doing bad, that's my neighbor's business. I will ensure that I am good. We don't worry about our neighbors. We don't care. But then COVID is starting to really teach us that, listen, if my neighbor has COVID, there's a high chance that I might catch it, whether or not I want to, because we live so close to each other. We might be touching the same walls. Not everybody's gonna be cautious 24/7, and this is why it's important to have a strong social security in terms of monetary, ideological as well. Monetary wise, we have a social security where the government can ensure that the least amounts are still able to access certain essential items in case of a pandemic like this, where we need to lock down the country, so they can still have access to the health, access to education and food. When I say we have a bill out, man, trying to give these people, like right now during the COVID, they want the country to lock down. You really want to see the case COVID stop, let's lock down the country for 6 months. It is impossible, because Jamaica is a service economy. We don't have a strong agriculture. Our agriculture sector is weak, so we can't even produce enough food to feed ourselves. We don't have the enough infrastructure. We can't invest in infrastructure in order to, like, quickly build up a hospital in order to properly fight this virus. Like, China built a hospital in 10 days in order to fight. We don't have that capability, and we don't have the money in order to feed our kids, get internet to the poor, in rural communities, so that they can have access to education and all of that. Listen, we don't have these things, but again, we have been pushing this every man for themselves, you know. We have been looking down on the poor, so we blame them and say, yo, want him to make better choices. True, people can make better choices, but at the end of the day, we still have to live in a Jamaica with all of these people that are making bad choices. Just like we realize that crime and violence is affecting us. Same way other people living amongst other people, their choices will affect you. So it's important and imperative that we work together to ensure that everyone that lives in this country, lives around us, live among us, is making the best choices daily. Their best choices is also affecting us. This is what I'm talking about, and this is why it's important for people to realize this, that it's not just us. It's not just us, and we are living together. We are living together, and it's important that we know this. Alright. Anyway, that's how I'm gonna leave this here for now. I hope to see you guys in the next one. Alright. Peace. Make sure you like, subscribe. See you later.